What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Footy with an Edge. We're back with a slightly different show timing. The goal here is to try to reach a larger audience at the best time possible. Like I said in my community show notes, I have already decided that I'm going to add more live shows every day because I also don't want to miss out from any of our viewers in India or Singapore or the Far East in general from being able to enjoy this content as well. So welcome, guys. Appreciate seeing you guys here. I already see there were about 10 or 15 people waiting before we started. So that's awesome. Really nice to see you guys. Let me make sure the audio issues here. Awesome. Looks like we're good to go, guys. How's everyone doing today, man? Dolphin says, is KO? You mean is okay? Yeah, we already have 30 people watching. That's awesome. How is everybody doing today, man? I am feeling rather good looking at some of the results that went on around us. Dolphin says, you think Kone will be good in the PL? I think he's got the physicality for it. I do have some other concerns that we can talk about later in the show. Obviously, we're gonna discuss their FB ref stats, what they actually provide us, pros and cons, and what it actually means, right? So he's 5'11.5". I actually think he could work pretty well. Pattern says, hello, Andy. Hello. Mr. Biakleon says, thumbs up, man. Josh Jalon says, hello. And Hi Main Joao says one more time. Yes, sir. Absolutely. So guys, if you're just joining in, I've moved this show forward because I want to have slightly better timings in terms of how I want to do the content. And I'm thinking about doing 3 live shows every day. And so I hope you guys are excited for that. And it's actually going to start from today as well. So I'm going to, after the show, send out another community post talking about the new schedule. Hopefully you guys are excited about that. And hopefully we get to enjoy some more time together every day. So we got some people rolling in here and we can probably get started. Hey, brother, I'm worried about Mount injury. Comes at the worst time. Do you think we will struggle? So I don't think it's an injury yet, unless I've missed some information. I think they just said that he maybe felt a little something and they were just being precautionary. Let me see here. Ruben Amorim delivers Mason Mount injury update after Man United star subbed off at halftime. Let me see. What are they saying? He felt something at halftime. He wanted to go, and that's also a good thing. He wanted to go in the second half, but I cannot lose most players. And if you're not 100%, Jack did a very good job. We need to suffer together in the stadium. We did a good first half, and then the second half we just defended. We had the opportunities in the second half with transitions, but it was a good win. But I had so many games here saying we played very well and didn't get the 3 points. Today was the opposite. Yeah. So I'm not really worried about Mount. I think it was more of a precautionary thing. And I think it was also precautionary with Casemiro, right? Although he said it was tactical, I think it has to be precautionary. So yeah, I'm not really that concerned about Mason Mount, to be honest with you. Pattern says he was in training. Jackper says even if we go in for Kone, it's almost always better to sell a player due to the cash flow. We need a direct replacement for our best starting 11. Zirkzee should stay and challenge Sheshko. Grigory says, so maybe not so bad. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. When Mount feels something, it usually ends up 3 months out. No, listen, you're fair to be suspicious about him. I actually don't know about Harry Maguire. Let me take a look at that. Harry Maguire. Injury update comes at the perfect time for Amorim. Let's see. Center Devils have claimed that the former club captain is inching closer to a return to action. Center back has resumed training on the grass, doing individual ball work that suggests his rehabilitation is at an advanced stage. The next step is joining group training if everything goes smoothly from here on in. Hopefully, Maguire can return to action sometime in January, which will be a huge boost considering the key games that are coming up. So I think Maguire isn't back yet, guys. Unfortunately, looks like it's a January thing. Ayush says we're gonna celebrate. Oh yeah, all right. Don't stop the dancing. What did he say? Maybe I'm missing something. Cool, guys. So we have a lot of stuff to get through today. I'm gonna start with the agenda now. You can see the agenda on your right-hand side. And the first item on the agenda is Joshua Zirkzee to Roma. Now, I saw a post from Roma Express or something. It's a local Roma-based publication, I guess. And they're saying that it's possibly a loan with obligation to buy for Joshua Zirkzee. That clears up, I think, 130,000 in salary or something from us. It's apparently Roma have submitted an official loan offer with conditional obligation to buy, and this is via Fabrizio Romano. Zirkzee has already said yes to Roma. Decision now sits with United. United are delaying a decision due to AFCON absences, specifically Mbumo, Ahmad, and also injuries. Zirkzee's role under Amorim, he's only had 3 starts and a fairly minimal recent impact. I think we can also say that the performance against Newcastle was bad from Joshua Zirkzee. He seemed like he was mailing it in, almost like his head was already somewhere else. Maybe a little bit of like the Konate settings, where at Liverpool his head is already at Real Madrid. So maybe he's already agreed personal terms with Roma, and that's why he doesn't really have his heart in playing for United. So can you blame him? Maybe a little bit, because when you're on the pitch and you should be playing. But his contract runs till 2029. He's making £130,000 a week. And the question is, can we move him on, save on the wages, and get a good amount of money for him, right? I think £30 million is probably a good value. 35 million pounds is a good price for us to get back for him. We'll be losing a little bit of money, but again, like with a player like him who hasn't lit the world alight, that's probably a fair market price. Now, what's interesting is I want to pull up Joshua Zirkzee's FBref numbers and just walk you guys through a little something that I noticed, right? Let me just put that on screen. So Zirkzee, in the last 365 days, his stats are woeful, right? As a forward, he's got decent passes, decent progressive passes, and defensive numbers. But attacking-wise, the thing that he's mainly supposed to do, like put the ball in the back of the net, he's been horrible. If you compare him to attacking midfielders, he's got decent non-penalty XG, but he's massively underperforming his non-penalty XG, right? By like minus 0.1 underperformance on XG, which is a really bad sign, which means he's not a good finisher, or he hasn't been, at least in the last 365 days. And he's giving you a little defensive numbers, but nothing much in terms of the ball progression as well. So either as a forward or as an attacking midfielder, he's not really given us much. Now, fair enough, in Amorim's system, he doesn't really have a natural fit because he doesn't work hard defensively, or he doesn't work hard enough defensively on the 10, and he probably doesn't give you the finishing at the 9. Now, the other interesting thing is he's had such few minutes this year because he hasn't even played 5 games, I guess, that there's no 25-26 numbers in the scouting report. This is for last 365 days. When we look at the 24-25 Premier League, his numbers are still very bad, right? Where he did play some minutes, I guess, at the tail end of Ten Hag and also for Ruben Amorim. And if we look at versus attacking midfielders, again, he has a situation where he has decent non-penalty XG, but he's not able to finish those, and he's underperforming his XG significantly. And again, nothing much else to look at compared to forwards. He's decent defensively, but what does that really mean for us, right? That's not what we're looking for. Now, when you go back to the 23-24 in the Serie A, which is the season before we purchased Zirkzee, it tells a completely different story because you're seeing, much more consistent attacking numbers, right? He's overperforming his XG. He's got decent shot volume. He's got decent expected attacking goals, right? This looks more like a Firmino type striker that can work in the Serie A, but has not been able to reproduce this in the Premier League. And look at his passing numbers, right? Compared to forwards, this is when he was playing as a striker for Bologna. He's got very good ball progression numbers, decent passing volume for a striker, decent successful take-ons, progressive carries, progressive passes, and he's giving you some defensive output as well. So I think the pace of the Serie A suits him a little bit better. The physicality of the Serie A suits him a little bit better. And like I said, he's overperforming his XG, which also makes a big difference. So that's it, guys. I mean, I think Zirkzee to Roma makes a hell of a lot of sense. Even if you look at his first season in this area, he's got very good stats. Still underperforming his XG, which is expected, I guess, from a player like him. He's not really an excellent finisher. But that second season at Bologna before we purchased him is where he actually shone through. And even in the first season, he had very decent contributions. Very much a Firmino-esque type of striker. And I think this deal makes sense for both parties. We get rid of somebody that we're not going to use, and Roma gets somebody that can be really good and find his Bologna type form again. Now the question is, can we do a swap deal or even two separate transfers, whatever that means, to get Manu Kone coming the other way? Now, who is Manu Kone, right? You guys like the puns I've done here, by the way, on your screen, which is to begin with, is Manu coming to Man U, and is Manu coming for Manu at Man U? There's a lot to work with here. It's a rich area. So the question is, like, are we gonna get Manu Kone through the door because we don't want to keep Kobbie Mainoo as well? So are we actually going to sell more than just Joshua Zirkzee? And the Manu Kone question comes down to a few things, right? Is he a better fit for our midfield? And United, we know that United want to get more players in their prime. Ideally, they're also Premier League proven. But if not, at least get more players that are in their prime who can come play for this team and deliver value to us now. And Mr. Biaklian says Manu Kone. Yeah, that's a nice one. I like that. I should have gone with that. Now I feel bad. But when we look at Manu Kone, he is identified as a realistic data aligned target for United's midfield rebuild, because now we know we have Michael Sansoni, I think his name is, the former Mercedes F1 head of data, head of analytics, who's come to United. So we're really leaning on that guy to find us some good targets. Now, Manu Kone, he is 5'11" and a half, 72 kilograms. So maybe Kerwin can tell us about the Bunda checks. But he's 24 years old. He'll turn 25 in the summer, I believe, or he'll turn 25 next year in May. And he's making it around 100,000 euros a week at Roma, as per what is reported. So we can probably get him on something like 100,000 pounds, maybe 20K bonuses. So probably less money than what we're paying Ahmad. And this guy has been identified as somebody that fits Amorim's profile because his durability is good. His tactical intelligence is good. He's got good ball recovery, can cover ground pretty well. And we were looking at Manu Kone even before when he was at Mönchengladbach. He also seems to excel in interceptions, recoveries, recycling possession under pressure. And he is seen internally as potentially a 2026 ready midfielder, not necessarily a short-term gamble. So he would allow more freedom for creators that are ahead of him, and it also aligns very heavily with Amorim's principles. Now let's look at his FBref stats, because I find it very interesting to go through a player like this. If we go to his Serie A season this year, he's played 1,440 minutes, so that's essentially almost every single game that he's been available for. And he doesn't give you a ton in an attacking sense. He gives you 3 shot creating actions, which is decent. But his pass completion is at 91%. He is I'd say, medium in terms of volume passer, but very accurate. He's also very good, got very good progressive passes per 90, which is 7.3 per 90. And I think Bruno's at like above 10. So obviously nobody can keep up with Bruno, but this guy gives us very good defensive skill set, very good covering of the ground, while also giving us a decent ball progression. Also has decent progressive carries and successful take-ons per 90. So he can actually dribble forward with the ball. If we go a little bit deeper, let's see here. From his passing perspective, he's got short pass completion is good. Medium pass completion is good. Long pass completion is also very good. So he can kind of do it all in terms of the passing. I'm not expecting anything flashy from him, but in terms of getting the job done, I think he can do it. And then if we look at his defensive stats, he's 81st percentile for tackles in the attacking third, which also tells you that he's probably decent at pressing. Now, can this profile change a little bit once he comes to Amorim and plays in the Premier League? Absolutely. I think we can look at somebody that can help us improve his skill set a little bit. Devo says, I have a fleeting feeling that we might help get Wolves their first win in the festive spirit. Yeah, I hear you in terms of that concern. Saknik Sarkar says, I have one question. Yes, we are happy that we're playing a back four now, but how good actually is Amorim's back four? Not all back four systems are good. I think the back four system is, what's it called? It's an easier system to play because in that formation, we can be a counterattacking team. And I think with the players that we have, it makes sense that he's gone to an easier system. And that's my opinion on it. I don't think it's like a world-class 4-2-3-1 or something like that. It doesn't need to be. We just need to soak up the pressure, hit teams on the counterattack, and try to win some points. That's all we're trying to achieve. Nelson says, honestly, the most underwhelming midfielder on the list. No, I hear you. And the fact that he went to Roma and he didn't go to a bigger club from Mönchengladbach tells you something. But his physical profile does signal to me that he could be decent in the Premier League. And if this is the player that Ineos have identified, I can't really, I don't really have anything to say with Chest in terms of no way we shouldn't go get him. I think for the right price, this makes sense as a squad player, right? His passing definitely looks a lot better than Ugarte's from what I'm seeing. And if we look at his previous season in the Serie A as well, literally 99th percentile for pass completion. Like he's the best in the Serie A for his pass completion. And does that mean he's playing it safe all the time? Potentially, but I'm also looking at his pass distribution. He's attempting like 2 to 3 long passes per game, which is probably a switch, and he's completing most of them. And that does bode decently well, in my opinion. So again, stats don't tell the whole picture. I'll have to watch a few games of his and really like break down his play style. But I think there is a chance for this to be a decent signing for us, especially if we can send Zirkzee the other way and get Kone for 15 million or 20 million or something like that. I think that's a very good deal because Zirkzee is probably valued at like 35 and Kone is probably valued at 50. I think he went to, how much did he cost to go there? See, Transfermarkt. How much did Roma pay for him? They paid 18 million euros. So honestly, this should probably just be a straight swap. I'm going to be honest with you guys. If this is anything but a straight swap, I think this is a bad deal for us because his value is 50 million. Yes. But Zirkzee, we purchased Zirkzee for 42.5. So I think in terms of a swap deal, I would just be going for a straight swap. My 2 cents. Okay, so that's kind of the discussion here. I mean, the third point that I had was whether who wins the deal. I think both parties kind of just about win in this situation. Again, my 2 cents here. Blue Banana says, I don't think Roma will sell in January. Well, they may not have an option because I don't think they have the money to necessarily purchase Joshua Zirkzee, even like a loan fee or something. Like, it's possible that we get Kone with a loan to buy type of situation, and we let Zirkzee go in a loan to buy type of situation, and it could just be Sharif Abdullah says, stop, bro. We need Ruben Neves and Baleba. You realize I'm not purchasing these players, right, Sharif? I'm not saying Manu Kone is the best option. That's not the point of the show. The point is to discuss the news that we have on these players. And I just think it makes sense to discuss the information that's ahead of us. There's a potential for us to swap Zirkzee for Kone. And I think that happens. Biakleon says, go for Xhaka in January. Bro, Sunderland is not selling Xhaka probably ever. So it doesn't make sense. Hey, Andy, the frog is back. Yes, sir. Nice to see you, Art. How you doing? Sagnik Sarkar says, I also think Ruben Neves will be better. Yeah, it's not. Listen, I'm not saying Manu Kone is the best player that's out there. That's not what I'm saying, guys. The point is that there's a chance that this is the midfielder that we might be getting, and I don't think it's the worst shout in the world. I'm not sitting here flipping my table. I think it's just getting somebody through the door that might work for us. M. Just Cope says, what's up? What's up, man? How you doing? We got 134 people watching, guys. Can we please get some likes? Let me just put out a poll. Okay. Please like the stream, guys. It really helps me out. It really helps YouTube promote the stream as well because they know that you like it. Okay. So that was the question, which is who likes it. And now we're gonna open up the lines for everybody to come have their thoughts on today's topics, which is Zirkzee versus Manu Kone. Are you happy with the swap? Do you think this is a good idea? Let's get some people to come share their thoughts. And I'm going to pin this for you guys. You make sure I pinned the right thing. Yes, I did. And let me get rid of that. Yeah, guys. So if you want to come have a chat and talk about whatever you're interested in, but primarily the two transfers that we're discussing here today, let's have a discussion. Joao Pino says Neves is not slower than Wharton, and everyone's drooling about him. Neves is pretty slow. I would say Wharton is still faster than Neves. I'd say, my opinion. I don't think Roma would swap their starter for Zirkzee. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see, right? This is a name that we've been linked to. It's not our job to go get the transfer done. Say hi to the cat, guys. The cat is gracing us with her presence today. There we go. You can see her face. Hey man, Ruben Neves is too slow. He's faster in his brain, so I'm not too worried about that. We got Ruben Neves joining us. How you doing, brother?
Ruben Neves. How you doing, man?
Pretty good, pretty good.
So I see we're all aboard the Kone train, huh?
Choo choo, choo choo, blood.
Choo choo. No, I am finding it hard to be excited about this one. Just for the fact
there's nothing exciting about it, bro.
He's such a FIFA player. He's such a FIFA player. You look at his stats; they're all in the 80 range. It's just he's gonna slot right in, do whatever we want. Team Hullet gang. But I also think that it's not bad loading up the whole squad. And I don't think this is.
If it's a straight swap for Zirkzee, like I really don't see what the problem is, because we would actually
Brother,
lower
you can get
our wages.
Nelson in the pitch for Zirkzee, and he's going to have more of an impact than what he did. At least he'll bust a lung. I mean, that was just pathetic what we saw.
Like, yeah.
But I don't know. What's your opinion on what's your opinion based on the fact that we went in for Semenyo, and there seems to be some back into the idea that we're probably going to have 100, 130 to spend in instant payments in January.
Wait. Like straight money without putting in amortization?
Straight money. And can be obviously spread out towards different players. But the whole intimation of, we're not going to go for any bit part players.
Are you talking about the Swiss Ramble thing?
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about access to credit facility and then access to players if we deem that we want to circumvent any type of Anderson like bidding situation. I think we should go for Anderson in January. Just test their mettle. I know everyone's saying no, it's going to be summer, but why not? Like, they got him for $35 million.
I'm down for it. Million. Like, I think what Ineos would do is go in with a 90 million bid is what I see them doing.
And it'd be worth it.
Because starting at 100 is just madness, right? Yeah. Starting at 100 is just madness. Do I think Anderson is worth the Caicedo money?
It's such fine margins, though, if you think about it. Like, what's the difference between 90 and 105, especially as you're spreading it and amortizing it
Wasn't it 115? Or was that Enzo?
No, you're right. Rice was 95 plus 5.
Rice was 100. Rice was 100.
And then Caicedo was the 110 or whatever. I think Enzo just got barely to 100.
So the transfer.
It's so funny. Also, the tricks they do for the number value. They want to inflate it. They'll do it in euro. If it's us, it's always in dollars. So,
yeah. It's gonna be rupees pretty soon for United.
No kidding.
So transfer fee paid by Chelsea can grow up to 133.4 million euros. And this is with all the add-ons, but the flat fee, upfront fee they paid was 116 million euros.
Okay. All
right. So it is still 90 compared to that is still 26 million euros.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a situation of I don't think Anderson is as good as Caicedo. That's not me saying Anderson is bad. That's just me saying Caicedo has shown me that after getting that big a price tag, he's willing to put a club on his back. That's as big as Chelsea.
Caicedo has a better shot on him. Caicedo does a more important job than him, in my opinion. You lose a Caicedo in the middle of the pitch, you're losing two players, basically.
Just up here as well, right? Because I've seen English players go for a lot of money. I think Rice is an exception to the rule, not the rule, right? Where Rice is the type of player that we talked about this since of 2023. We should have signed Rice.
Rice is more analogous to Anderson when you're talking about impact for what it means for the teams. Like,
for sure. I just mean once you start paying crazy money for a player, it also becomes a case of how they react to that, how they can survive under the limelight. And in that sense, I think that is a skill set that Rice has that I don't know if Anderson has yet. And that's me just saying I don't know about the forecast in that direction.
Did you manage to see any of how he performed against City?
No, I didn't.
It was a good showing. It was a very good showing. It wasn't like one of those it wasn't like the audition game he had against us. I still think there's some limitations to his game that if the long term is to phase out Bruno a little bit and have him be in that left center mid or right center mid, you're not going to get the shot threat from him. You're not going to get the variety of chances created, but you will be shoring up that positional discipline, and it's going to allow Ruben to really be a little more creative in the final third, actually, than how we are now.
I also think in the build-up, right? It allows for a lot more creativity in the build-up because, we're talking. There's all this talk about back three, back four. if you have
Yeah.
someone like Anderson who can really be, that role that Licha played against, what was it, Villa in the second half, where
Yeah.
he was just sitting in front of the back four, taking the ball. He could actually be that guy who allows us to play the 3-1-6, but with him being the pivot, which goes into a back four. So he steps into the back four line. Like he's that good in terms of
It's
a
funny.
deep
He
line
doesn't.
passer.
He doesn't have that type of like carrying ability that you see from Frankie, but you have that very similar like positional outset of what that connection is between the back line and then moving it through the middle phase. So,
Is your camera doing auto framing? Because I see this
it's just,
subtle like.
I'm on the stupid what's it called, MacBook. So let me.
Okay.
There you go. Good.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, I worry about balance with this team a lot, and I've watched the training footage over the weekend, and it seems like Dorgu is again the rightmost player. So we're probably going to see Dorgu. It'd be more of a credence to the idea that we'll see four at the back going forward for the Wolves game. Are we now kind of preparing ourselves for something that might not even happen in the future with this three at the back system? Because I don't know. There's aspects of that game I watched again that I really enjoyed from a United fan standpoint on how we played and how we performed. And it's not to say that I don't think that the 3-4-3 has its merits, especially on an international landscape. I think the 3-4-3 is one of the most difficult formations.
Are you hearing any feedback, by the way? Because my headphones are bugging out, and now I put you on my speaker.
Am I good? No, nothing. I'm not
Okay.
hearing it.
Okay, cool.
So
the mic setup is working. Awesome.
Good.
Yeah. So sorry, your question is, am I worried that we're abandoning the 3-4-3? Is that
and maybe trying to phase out Bruno, like a la the other two devils you got on the podcast? Maybe that's something where we're being a little too hasty with that, because maybe there's a formation that we can include Kobe and Bruno in the same setup, and we've seen what talks.
Yeah. I think this is purely to do with a reaction to the squad situation that we're in, because we're missing like 8 players, right?
Yeah.
And let's be fair. I mean, the proof's in the pudding, man. He's been trying for a year to get the 3-4-3 right, to give all his instructions so that it's flowing through the brains, veins, or whatever Rannick once said. And he tries like 3 training sessions with the 4-2-3-1, and the players are able to get it, right?
Yeah.
It's because they've played that system a lot more in their careers, and the requirements or the philosophy that's required in that system is just sit back, soak up the pressure, hit the spaces that are in behind. So, Pattern says last game felt like a Ten Hag game. I think Ten Hag first season was a lot like that, right?
Yeah.
We were just soaking up the pressure, individual brilliance defensively, individual brilliance final third, win games 1-0, 2-0. And so do I think when Bruno is back, we go back to the 3-4-3?
See, I'm at that same mental state. I'm very, I want to see him in this for the back setup. I
think he will play. I don't think
so
he's going to get phased out 100%. The question is more, will we go back to the 3-4-3 system? Because I'll be honest with you, again, like I have no qualms about, like I feel like I've been one of the faces of defending the 3-4-3 on YouTube for such a long time, and the community is part of this. I'm just the face of the thing, and it would be a damn shame if we just abandoned the 3-4-3.
That's where I'm at too. I think with calling it early doors before even giving the opportunity to see the formation fly, that would be really disappointing. But I think people are too hasty on calling it quits on Bruno. So I think that also affects the way that we look at some of the options in the transfer market. So if we are to keep a Bruno, and let's say we are to have more variance in how our setup is and our structure.
Are you worried about Ruben abandoning Bruno though? Because Ruben's going to put him straight back into the team.
No. I'm worried that the same forces that like dictate transfer strategy, system strategy, that have influenced Ruben to take a little bit of a more soft line approach to his positional and structural discipline are going to coerce him into going into a 4-3-3 long-term, 4-2-3-1, any permutation of four at the back. And I feel that just like anything, like in a job, like you have a bottom line to meet. So if you're getting results, fantastic. But if Ruben's not feeling fulfilled in this role and he feels as though something's dictating, then we might have to start thinking long-term beyond like the 3-4-3 ideal. So because I remember Ayun was talking about it last stream and everyone else was talking about it. And I think
I hear your point. I mean, I guess this is a more
it's more philosophical,
more philosophical. Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. More philosophical question, which is like, would Ruben enjoy making these changes and playing with it long term? Yeah. Is there a concern with that? Here's what I think is going to happen, right? What has Ruben Amorim said from the beginning? He said he wants the change to happen on his terms.
Yeah.
Right. And to be fair, this isn't a change on his terms. This is a forced change, not by the club, but by the.
I'd only contend with you on that because we heard all the murmurs with Wilcox. He preferred the 4-3-3, pushing that into the team. And then we have Mitten on Talk of the Devils saying that, it seems like it's been a more collaborative effort rather than it's either me and the Pope can't even change me. So that's the only thing I'm concerned about, because we've all been in situations in our lives, either personal or work, where you've been told by your superiors or by whatever collective majority.
What are you trying to say about my wife, bro?
I'm just saying, I see the whip. Just kidding. No, yeah. But no, for sure. Like I'm just concerned that what we're seeing is not, there might be the beginning of some friction, because for the most part, Ruben's been given authority into playing exactly how he wants to play. I'm just concerned that this is not how he wants to play. And I'm thinking, are we sacrificing that long-term vision for short-term gratification and results? Which we need results. So
I think I agree I'm with you 100% on the short term, but the thought about the long term, that's why you're hearing me taking all these pauses, because the long-term stuff hasn't even entered my brain. Because here's how I think it is. I think the piece that people are maybe just now realizing with the Andy Mitten comment, because I listened to that Talk of the Devils, surprisingly one of the more digestible Talk of the Devils in recent times, to be honest, because it was right after the game and they were talking, it was 30 minutes. But I think it's always been a collaborative approach. I think they brought Amorim in as their guy. They were looking at him as somebody that we're giving a chance when he's not maybe ready for the job yet, right? So somebody they're promoting from a lower position type of thing. Similar to how Barada was not a CEO before, but we hired him as a CEO, right? As we saw the potential and we got him in. I think it's always been collaborative. I think him saying the Pope can't make him change it is his way of being like, we're not going to change it, not I'm not going to change it. I think that's the thing that people are missing. So this change is definitely a collaborative thing. He's always talked about, I'm always talking to Sir Jim, I'm always talking to Wilcox. It's a collaborative thing. I think that's how they established the football.
It's good to have that unity between a football structure and the hierarchy, rather than what we saw, just like, people in different.
Yeah. Sectors. And I think in-game management, for example, like taking off Casemiro, playing somebody else, or the specific system that he's deploying, I don't think Ineos is getting bogged down with that. No. But they're having an overall discussion of like, okay, we want you to decide what to do still, but here's a potential solution, because if this keeps going on, you keep playing the 3-4-3 with worse players because we're missing Bruno, Mount is injury prone, etc., etc.
We didn't even see Ugarte in for about 90% of the games, just due to the tactical misfit in the 3-4-3. Whereas you look at him in the past 2 games, you say, "Whoa, that guy can still do a job." I'm not removing the flop label from him yet, but it's like what I've been so close off to as to what everyone's been saying is, "Oh, this squad is top X quality." I said, yeah, maybe for short-term results, you can squeeze out a little bit more. And I think as a fan base, I'm having to really temper myself with regards to looking at this small section of AFCON and injury-ridden period versus what's it going to take to win the league. And I think that's being able to compartmentalize this little season that we're in and see the forest from the trees. I think that's what I want to talk about from a holistic standpoint when we look at transfers.
Yeah, so the simple answer is we don't know, right? Because I'm literally just looking at this 4-2-3-1 as a phase that we're going through to get to the end of AFCON and get to the other side of these injuries. The other thing is, though, there is a chance that this is an opportunity for him to say, you know what, I'm going to do a hybrid 4-2-3-1, 3-1-6, 3-3-3-1, whatever you want to call the different shapes, right?
Yeah.
I think that is very much possible, where he wanted the 3-4-3 to be a way to, it was almost sending a message, not just about the system, right? That the coach, what the coach wants or what the football hierarchy wants is what will go at this club. There's no more of, you guys don't perform for 5 games, so we're just going to change. And I think that message has been very much sent, so much so that we're all surprised, like, what the hell, like this guy, we go into games wondering who's playing where.
So the way that I see it is that if you were to view Amorim as this super rigid structural manager, kind of like a la a Deitch 4-4-2, that's all I'm going to play, I think that's a big disservice to his capability as not only just a person, but as a tactician. I refrain from giving this guy credit, but you look at Pep. I think I've seen a 2 at the back formation and a 1 holder and an even 5-2. I even saw phases of that in the game against Forest. Pep, unfortunately, due to his luxury of riches and, it's a war of attrition when it comes to City, he can play around with formations that we might see adapted from the rest of the league in the next 2-3 years. So when I see all those changes, I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is something that I've not had enough game time to understand and realize.
He's probably the first top-level coach to play 3 at the back, because last season he played 3-2-4-1 so often.
Yep.
Right? And even this season, what is he doing? He's essentially looked at the high-pressing teams that he goes up against, the low PPDA teams, basically. And he said, I need somebody to be good on the ball that can get me out of tight situations deep. That's why he's playing Phil Foden as like a defensive midfielder at times during build-up, especially.
Exactly.
And so we don't have those options. And I think it's a little bit of like, the internet is a great place to for someone to go to tellmewhyimright.com and get the answer that they want, right? And so that's the thing. Like if your proposition or your hypothesis is that Amorim isn't a good coach, you can find things that prove you right.
It's like talking to AI. You can write.
It's going to validate you. It's going to validate.
It's going to give you sycophancy. It's going to be like, yeah, actually, you know what? You're totally right. He is the greatest manager. So that's why I come into this with a very open mind, and I'd like to hear what other people have to say as well.
Yeah, let's do it. Perfect timing.
Uh-oh.
Well.
Oh my God.
I agree with what you said, Andy, about what they're playing now is just temporary because of personnel issues. I think he's going to stick to his guns when we're at full strength, because in a 4, it's going to be very hard to incorporate our best players, who are Ahmad and Buemo, Cunha, Sesko, Dorgu, as of recently. As an Elliot Anderson, I think you go out and you spend whatever you have to spend to get him in January.
Yeah.
And that's a must. And people are like, well, I don't know if he's going to... Listen, he's an elite level player. He's going to fit in to wherever he puts him to fit in. He's a professional. He's a footballer. He's not a Labubu merchant. He's not a half-turn Charlie. He is a footballer. He is a United footballer. The standard of United, if we want to say that.
Yeah.
And for those types of players, you splash the cash. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get Semenyo. Unfortunately, because Semenyo would have been great for any team that he goes to. It sucks for him that he's going to City, I'm going to be honest with you. Because he's not going to have
Calvin
that
Phillips
freedom.
written all over that.
He's not going to have that freedom he has right now, where he could do whatever he wants. He could score an own goal and they'll clap.
Yeah.
But,
so here's the thing, Ed. One thing I want to say about the reason why I think he's going to go back to the 3-4-3 is because genuinely, I think the 3-4-3 has a higher ceiling, but unfortunately, with our current players, a lower floor. Whereas the 4-2-3-1 counterattacking system has a much higher floor, but a lower ceiling. Right?
Can I point out something interesting? Can I point out something interesting here, Andy?
Go for it.
The Newcastle game was the lowest XG we have produced in the entire season.
Really?
According to Understat, it was 0.94. And even in our most terrible losses, we have managed to get 1.2, 1.3.
Yeah,
The
because
lowest XG we have ever had in this season is with the back four. So
the,
it is a
the
very counter-attacking, very defensive kind of a system.
the 3-4-3 in itself is probably the most versatile formation you could play, but it's also the one you could easily concede the most and lose control of the game the most.
I was gonna say our defensive solidity was the
Correct.
best with Leacha coming back.
If
That
you
type of
bring
aggression
in
was
if you bring in world class like in an Anderson, those 3-3 games are gonna easily become 3-1 games.
The standard of execution that is required is much higher in the 3-4-3. That's the difference, right? So it's whether it's world class players or players just that suit their profile suits the 3-4-3 the best, whatever it is. There's a chance of making one or two mistakes that leads to catastrophe. Whereas in a 4-2-3-1, you have a lot more. It's much easier to execute, but you're also never going to dominate the possession that you want
But
to.
isn't it funny how people always say that the 3-4-3 requires specialists, whereas I think it requires people that are interdisciplinary, like center backs who are aggressive, but also have
No,
fantastic
specialists
ball-
to that system. So specialists.
Yeah,
at
so
being
specialists. So
versatile.
in that
Yeah.
no, but it's funny because when I look at the other more rigid and tried and true formations that have been played in the Premier League, it seems like those ones you have a lot more limited players and quote unquote, let's say, target man specialists in terms of that regard. So I think there's some nomenclature that's been attributed to the 3-4-3 to kind of beat it down and make it seem like this prohibitive formation to integrate.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, like makes it so that the system gets all the riches, but then the players are just like locked in. I think it's the opposite. I think you get the most creativity out of the
I just want you guys to see it this way. To the eye, right? When we're watching us attack, when we're playing the 3-4-3 and we're attacking, I feel like every attack could be a goal. In the 4-2-3-1, I'm like, meh, you know, the ball is getting stuck out there, whatever. In the 3-4-3, it's very fluid. You have a lot of options. The ball can go in at any time. You could score in 5-6 different ways, right? And in the 4-2-3-1, it's like, is the low cross going to come in now? Is it going to come in later? You know, things like that. It's just when
from
you're
an excitement level too, Ed. Like I feel
Exactly.
most like a United fan when I watch the 3-4-3, seeing Mbeumo run, and like it felt.
Yeah, but the issue people are having is when we do go up, we don't have that control that we should have.
Yeah.
But that control comes in when you pay the big money for the players that can give you that control.
Yeah.
Hey guys, let me ask a quick question. I'm just a question.
Hey, let me just do the super chat first, and then I'll come to you. We have one from Art that says 3 in the back. I saw progress, but lost. 4 back was ETH. I think he's not happy with the 4 at the back formation. And Tabi Somfana says said something similar on Semix's stream yesterday. I'm praying to the gods that we go back to a 3-4-3. The 4-3-3 glaze on YouTube is killing me. I'm telling you, this is very much what we discussed, Sean, which is
me too.
there's a lot of people using the 4-3-3 or giving you 4-3-3 praise as a way to backhanded slap Ruben Amorim for playing the 3-4-3 for this long, right? Oh, like I told you so, like we should have done this the whole time, and now Kobe Mainoo's going to play in our team, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's always agendas, right? You have to look through, you have to read between the lines to see what's happening. But AUN, go ahead.
So my question was: are we discussing this 4-3-3 and 3-4-3 as specifically to our team, or this formation in general?
We don't care about other teams, and we're just talking about United. Like
no, because like I was getting confused a little bit because I thought we were talking about the formation themselves in general. Then that like what we're saying about this wouldn't be correct, but if we're just talking specifically to our team, yes, I agree with you guys because this formation.
It's also not just the formation, right? AUN, to clarify, when I say, because Roan has awoken the semantic beast in all of us, and I want to say it's not about the formation; it's about counterattacking versus trying to be a versatile 3-4-3, right? So Ruben Amorim's natural system versus a counterattacking band-aid type of system that we're playing now, which is just to make sure that we get some wins.
Yeah, I understand that because I do realize that like sometimes system is not about formation; it's how you play it. The same way our three in the back is not the same thing as Crystal Palace three in the back, and it's not the same thing as in like Inter Milan three in the back at the day
Or even Wolves. Wolves plays a
or
three in
even
the back.
Wolves three in the, no, Wolves was more identical to us because they play with the two attacking midfielders, where everybody else played with a variation of two strikers and three in the midfield.
But how they press was different though. Like so, how they defend was different too. Anyways, we're getting into semantics again. But yeah, go ahead.
So, but the reason why I really do think we're gonna go with a four in the back is because it eliminates the biggest issue we have with our system, which is the natural thing that 4-3, the three in the back cause is that we have space on the wide, but with our system, there's always space in the middle because we don't have position discipline midfielders. So there you have two weaknesses that are automatically happening because of the way we are set up, not because the plays are bad, just because the way we are set up. If we're gonna stick with this system, I'm gonna need like Elliot Anderson and Baleba in order for this to work. And I think the high up, I saw that's going to cost a lot of money because on top of those two, you're going to need a Bastoni type defender, and you're going to need maybe Silva from Benfica type a ball progressor as a defender. And all of those guys are closing like 70, 80 million. And if you're going to have to spend 70, 80 million in 5 to 7 different positions, it's not affordable. And that's
AUN, may I offer a slightly alternative to what you've said?
Mm-hmm.
The reason we need to spend big money on two midfielders is not because Amorim needs two midfielders. It's because we've been woefully underspending on the midfield for years, right? So even if we played a 4-2-3-1 system and the aspiration was to go win the league, we would still need those two pivots to be very good, and we'd have to go spend that money. Because the last time we purchased a midfielder in January was 2020, which was Bruno, right? And we have not spent on the midfield. So every position that you can think of, except for the wing back, which is the one I would say that is more specific to Amorim's 3-4-3. Every other position we would need to improve on anyways, because our center backs, we've already seen it. Martinez, Luke Shaw, 2 injury prone. Maguire, De Ligt, injury prone, and probably not good enough in terms of a title winning center back, right? So the profiles that we have in our team are already not suited for even a 4-2-3-1 system. Let's say instead of Amorim, if we had Thomas Frank playing, like he would still need all of these players except for the wingbacks. And even in those positions, I would argue that maybe you need to buy one less winger because you're buying wingbacks. You know what I'm saying? Compared to a 4-2-3-1. I think that's the way I'm looking at it.
Okay, let me explain. Like it's going to be a minute. Let me explain where I'm coming from with this, okay? Because what you say is technically true, and what I'm saying is that both things can be true at the same time, which is we never actually address our midfield, Sid Michael Carrick. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like if you go switch back to the like 4-3 or 4-2-3-1, I would argue you probably need 2 to 3 high-level talent to come into the team. And that is you need one new center back, you need a defensive midfielder in terms of like either Elliot Anderson or Baleba, and you need another winger that can play on the left wing. Because you already have a striker, you already have 2 incredible attacking midfielders in Bruno and Cunha, and then you have Kobe Mainu, and you get a defensive midfielder and Mason Mount, and then in the back you have Heaven, who's coming through, the brand new center back who's going to play next to Martinez, and then you have like Dorgu, Dalot, and the kid Diego Leon that is we just bought as your fullback. That's what I'm saying. Like when they're looking at it, if you switch to the 4 in the back, you might have to buy 3 world-class players. Where if you stick with the system that Ruben Amorim won, you're going to need 7 world-class players.
Okay, so that's where we disagree, AUN.
Yeah, I don't.
Because if you get those same three world-class players that you're talking about for the 4-2-3-1, just try to think about this for a second. Those same three world-class players that you're talking about, let's say two midfielders and let's say one center back, right? Just those guys. Let's get two midfielders and one center back as three world-class players. I think those three players make the 3-4-3 significantly better. Like significantly to the point where we might even be at the 90-95% mark in terms of where we need to be, right? Because, you know, you're going to get diminishing returns when you're trying to end up the last few pieces of the squad. And my problem with the 4-2-3-1 AUN is I don't think it has the ceiling of going and winning the league. Whereas the ceiling of the 3-4-3 is going and winning the league. So if you want to become a very good team, I hear you, 4-2-3-1 helps, right? If you want to be consistently top four, 4-2-3-1 helps. But if you want to go win the league, it has to be something like a 3-4-3, something that is an innovation that teams find difficult to play against. And any high-pressing team, any team that plays well on the ball, that would be our competition to go win the league. We are now winning those games because we play the 3-4-3. So the games against Liverpool, the games against City every year, the games against all these teams, we would have a big advantage over them. And then it's a question of, can we, you know, go beat the smaller teams as well to make sure we win the league? I think that's the question.
But to me, I look at that as that this formation had only won the Premier League once, and that's under Conte. So
but it's a new formation. It's a new formation. It's a new system.
It's a new system, but we saw this before in the Premier League with
not
Conte.
The way Amorim plays it, though.
Yeah,
right?
Not the way Amorim played, but the variation of it, and he only won the Premier League one time. So
can I just ask one question to the whole panel? And I first off want to give a major apology to everyone for getting this back to system talk. We've been reading the comments, and I know it's a recurring theme. People are tired; they're sick and tired of formation. Maybe could it be such a simple question as just player turnover and player profiles? Because we've seen, I think this club and this team was missing an actual keeper in net, someone that wouldn't throw the ball into the net. We went toe-to-toe with Arsenal, and if it wasn't for Bayindir putting the ball in the back of the net, I think we could have gotten a point or even gotten lucky with that Dorgu hit. And then Onana, God forbid I even remember the trauma that he's caused us. So could it be as simple as saying, okay, we've seen the improvement in just the defensive solidity with Martinez back into the squad. I think it'd be good to have him as a center back. And then when De Ligt comes in, he slots in at the right center back, plays more of a cover role where he doesn't have to rely on passing progression, because that's what Tuchel said that he is famously needed to work on. And we keep Heaven on the left center back. Fine. Then at that point, one new world-class midfielder, especially in that right center mid, or someone even on that left center mid, and keeping what we have in Casemiro, that can change the trajectory of our season and the trajectory of amount of points that we can expect going forward, because we saw that change with Lamens just being more solid.
Let's go let's go to Robert. I want to hear from Robert on maybe you can talk us through the positives of the 3-4-3, or am I like, you know, the only person speaking in a vacuum that actually sees the ceiling of the 3-4-3 being significantly higher than a 4-2-3-1 type system?
Nah, 3-4. Let Robert go and then I'll go.
Okay. So for me, I prefer the 3-4-3 personally than the 4-2-3-1 or any variation of a back four, just because with the 3-4-3, yes, it might sound or look complicated, but with how Amorim wants to play his football, because I think his football is more of a combination of many different types of football, such that it now becomes total football. And with the 3-4-3, it's easier to outline these ingenuities of football, because you'll have, first of all, the WM structure is already there. Like every single thing is easier to do with the 3-4-3 than the 4-2-3-1, because if I'm going to be looking at the 4-2-3-1, first of all, if he's going to be building up maybe the back three structure, we need one hell of a CDM or one very good center back who can play as a full back like a Gavadiol, or maybe even a Timber / or a Calafiori. So if we start building a team again to play the 4-2-3-1, in fact, it will be more difficult to do so, because it will need world class players at almost each and every single third of the pitch. But when it comes to the 3-4-3, it can improve an average player and make that player to be so good. But the 4-2-3-1, you're either good or you're not. Because the 3-4-3 can make one player look so good, better than he is. Because it's good at putting players in certain positions where they're like, you just stay there, you will drive, than the 4-2-3-1. Because even if you look at Arteta's 4-2-3-1, the players he has are players who are tailor-made for that particular position he wants. But when it comes to the 3-4-3, me speaking for myself, how I've seen it, you can have these players switching around so effectively that it makes good players look like great players. But the 4-2-3-1, I can't say that. And even if you say like we are not known for the 3-4-3, like dude, come on, Samad Busby, the Busby Babes, they played a back three back when the back three was coming into play. So I don't know what people are saying it's not part of our identity. Some people maybe sometimes sit down and maybe look at the history, but the 3-4-3, as much as it has not won the league, yes, people are. You look at the tactical meta and how it is.
It's also
moving.
not very common, right, Robert? It's also not very common. It's not like 19 teams every year are playing three at the back, and the one team that doesn't just wins it every year. So
Yes, and
it's
also
not very
that's
common.
my
so it's gonna
point.
be-
That is my point. That is, this system is so difficult to execute that is not common because of that.
But that's
And
why we
when I-
brought in a manager to
Ayun,
do that, though.
Ayun,
That's
let
why
me-
you brought in the
Shapri,
manager to do that. When you play a
Ayun.
4-2-3-1 and you play against another team in a 4-2-3-1, all you're doing is comparing who has the better players. And right
Yeah.
now, we do not have the better players than City, than Liverpool, than Arsenal. None of those guys. You're going head to head, player for player.
Oh, that's where I would say, okay, I agree with that. And we're going to stick with this system. It needs 7 players. And where I disagree
But-
with y'all is where you guys say it's
No.
only need 3. It needs 7.
I think it's a false
So,
assumption.
can we agree?
Ivan.
Can we
So-
agree that
No.
Bruno Fernandes is not actually playing in his best position? And if Ruben Amorim had other choice besides Bruno, he wouldn't play there, right? Therefore, you
No,
only need
Ayun,
3 there.
Ayun.
Answer me one question, AUN. Do you think in
Yeah.
a 4-2-3-1, this squad adding 3 world-class player can win the league?
Yes.
Okay, we
In any
completely
system.
disagree.
In
That's
any
well. That's
formation.
well.
Can I
No,
can
no,
I
I'm like-
can I please interject for a second, please?
Yeah, go
Ewan,
ahead.
Yeah.
I'll just interject here for a second. All this talk about formation and for that extent, even system, right? I was rewatching the Newcastle game, and I saw that in defense they were in a mid to low block. Newcastle. Sometimes they were a back five, sometimes they were a back four, based on who their fullback was marking. Right? It was either a 5-4-1 or a 4-5-1. You could not tell. It all depended upon our left back's positioning. Right? It all depended sorry, I forgot was left back. Shaw. It all depended upon what Shaw's positioning was like, and depending on that, their right back was either in a flat back five or he was going pushing into midfield and making it a 4-5-1. I'm going to say something very controversial, and I guess it's a good thing that my camera's off for this so that people don't have a face to pin their hate on. I'm going to say that, dude, all this talk of formation and system, right, is so pedantic. It is just people use this as currency to seem intelligent. And I'm not saying that we do that here on this community. I'm just saying that some people go so deep into it that it gets a little bit annoying, because let's be honest, no matter how much we sit here and try and uh, decipher what Amarim's doing, we are not going to know what he's going to do on the pitch in the next game. We don't, right? We don't, no one knows what he's going to do. He's not predictable like Arteta, he's not predictable like Pep. We don't know what he's going to do because the unpredictability has been forced upon him because of the state of the squad and because of the mid-season unavailability of players. So I am honestly like, there is so much of this system talk going on. People saying that they hate the back three, and now that we won one game, they're saying bravo. Guys, we have had a brilliant season so far in terms of chance creation. People have not acknowledged that enough. This is the best chance creation season for us since Sir Alex left this club, and it must be acknowledged. And that has come at a price, sure. But when you try to mold something, or when you try to make something out of clay, you first get the big ass lump of clay, and then you start chiseling away at the little things. For us, the priority was always chance creation, which only a few teams in this league have managed to master. Over the last 5 years, or the last 10 years, Liverpool, City, and Arsenal are the only three teams who have managed to consistently create massive number of chances, by which I mean they've put up 80 plus XG, right? None of the other teams have. Even all the teams like Chelsea under Tuchel, when they had a great start to the season, 26, 27 points out of 10, or even Ange Ball in his first season when he was like putting up crazy numbers in the first 11 games, he was top of the table or whatever. No one has put up those numbers. We have managed to crack into that league of teams that create an exceptional amount of chances. I think once we've got that in place, it is all about improving the individual pieces that go into making that more secure, right? In
Exactly.
terms of goal differential, XG goal differential, we are third in the table. We are third in the table behind City and Arsenal. So it's about, and I'll
Rishi,
tell you,
I think just to
Andy,
add,
hold on,
yeah.
hold on. Let me land this. Let me land this. The other reason why I say that I'm tired of this whole formation talk is I don't think people are realizing this, but if you pay attention, the league is going back to the days of Sir Alex, where more than a formation, the individual duels mattered more.
Yeah.
The physicality mattered more. If you're able to beat your man, that is a huge important benefit that you can get. That's why we are seeing like dribblers coming back into the game. That's why people have uh, Pep spent mega money on Doku, and even when he was ass, he continued to play him and continued to work on him. The
Even
ability to
Cherokee,
beat
he's
the
been able
guy.
to unlock defenses, and
Exactly.
we're seeing the
Exactly.
technical masterclass back on form. Yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely. Which is why Nelson says, or I'm not sorry, forgive me if I'm misattributing this, but Nelson is not the biggest fan of Saka. Am I right, Nelson?
I'm a fan of Saka.
no, I'm
Oh,
the
okay.
Saka hater.
It's
Yeah, okay. You're the Saka hater. Sorry. So much conversation going on Discord that sometimes I forget who said what.
That's fine.
Yeah, but yeah.
We look
So
similar. I can
Saka,
understand.
not on
Can I
Discord.
add to what Rishi is saying really quick?
Yeah, go on.
All these guys that were Amorim out merchants are the same ones that are like, I told you the 4-2-3-1 will get a result. While watching the train wreck of the second half, the worst half of football we've played since Grimsby.
But
Well,
Right.
Everton game was bad, but that wasn't system related. That was the
No.
players.
This everybody that was Amorim out is the same one saying, I told you, after a 1-0 win where we got out very
But can we
lucky.
be clear? Like the second half, he literally even said that it wasn't a formation thing. It was just we're just trying to win the game. We at some points we had 7 defenders at the back.
Correct.
That's
Exactly.
not a formation.
But that's what I'm saying though. But people are that were Amorim out are the ones that are saying, I told you the system. That's their biggest thing. After we get a 1-0 win. I mean, that's absolutely insane to me. Is anybody
I don't
here's
credit that
the
win
other
for
case,
Footy.
Nelson. I want your reaction to this
Mhm.
because I know we've had a long conversation that has gone and a long undulating conversation about the system, about what works and what doesn't. We're all saying that Amram's system to be working the way he wants it to work requires perfect players to work, right? But I would argue actually this season, even with the Frankenstein squad, he has been able to get a decent chunk out of them, and the players have underperformed, right? Because like Rishi said, you look at our XG stats. I know you say you look at big chances, not at XG and all that, but whatever XG model is applied to United is the same XG model that's applied to every other team, right? It's not like we're having some sort of preference or the stats are lying to us. So when you look at it in the cumulative, maybe you don't believe in the XG stats for a given game, but 18 games into the season, it's enough sample size to say, okay, this is what the team does. This is what the system does. So I would argue that actually he's been able to get more change out of the squad that we have now than we would under a 4-2-3-1 type system, not just formation type system, right? Because I think even with the 4 at the back, he's still building up with 3 at the back at times. I don't think he's just abandoned his philosophy completely, right? So what are your thoughts on that?
the whole system thing has been beaten to death.
Yeah.
I think whether you're discussing a 3-4-3, 4-2-3-1, I agree with you. When he builds with the 3 at the back. He doesn't really build with like 2 or anything crazy like what either De Zerbi does or Pep does.
Even Slot does the 2 build up, right? Because he has both
yeah.
his fullbacks going super high.
They go all the way high. But for me, the reason why, this is why I disagree with you guys, and this is why I think Amorim has said he's going to switch to the 4-2-3-1. I think it's easier for you to find players in the 4-2-3-1 than the 3-4-3, because the centre backs are going to be an issue, the wing backs are going to be an issue. You're going to have to find multiple of them until you find the right one. But I think with midfielders, it's going to be easy for you to find. It's going to be easy for you to find strikers and wingers in their natural positions, which is why I think when we went for Semenyo, that's why we even tried to push. Let's switch to a 4-2-3-1. That being said, I still think you can play a 4-2-3-1 with a 3-4-3.
Nelson, don't tell me you honestly believe that we'll change the formation for you.
100%. Do you know why? Because we heard about it we know Wilcox spoke about it. And if you remember, Rishi, I came out over here the first time I joined, and I literally said, "Don't you find it weird that Wilcox had suggested that he's not going to change the 4-2-3-1 for the youngsters?" And Andy said, "Oh, that's because it's easy for us to sell them." I said, "No, I think it's because eventually we are going to switch to a 4-2-3-1." I said that a while ago.
Here's what Wilcox will here the thing. Now I'll just answer that aspect of it. They asked Wilcox and both Nick Cox about this, who was academy director, and they said that at the youth academy level, it's more about the principles of play rather than learning a rigid formation, right? So that's what they're trying to put into them. Fast transition, quick interplay, being good passers. Those are the kind of things they're trying to ingrain. So it was never about the formation.
And Nelson, it wasn't just about selling the youth players, but it was also the fact that they need to learn the game. And you need to start. You can't just start with a harder system in the youth team to learn the game that way. That was my point.
Do you know why that doesn't work? Is because every team that tried to switch to the 3-4-3, we're talking about Barcelona's era. We're talking about all these Italian teams. They all switched their academies to 3 at the backs. You can go check.
I mean, I don't know much about the Inter Academy.
And the reason why they do that is because a simpler way for you to
from every level.
It's easier. It's easier for you to embed young players into your
Nelson.
Yes, Robert, please go ahead.
So I'll stop you there at changing the academy, because I'm with Rishi and Andy when they say that the academy players need to learn football, not to learn a system. And then if you're getting a comparison, we have to realize, like, when it comes to Italy, these guys, their footballing culture is like 2 decades behind each and every single league in the world.
I wanted you to say that. So you're saying that, but Gasperini is the one who started this 3.
No. Listen. No, that's what fantastic. I'm not saying that it's bad. What I'm trying to imply is that Italy is
the only country it has worked in.
It's not yet even into modern football. And listen,
you're talking the first. If you're talking 3-4-2-1 as the future, 1 second. If you're saying 3-4-2-1 is the future, Napoli plays it. Inter Milan play it. Juve play it. Almost every single top team, Atalanta, all of them all play the 3-back. I actually think Italy is the leading for tactical assessment. Their players aren't good enough. That's how I think it is. And the reason they started playing,
that's where we are colliding. That's where we are colliding, because you're saying Italy is ahead when it comes to tactical meta, but it's not. They were ahead like 3 decades ago. Even if you look at the reason why Roberto Baggio stepped down as the president of their football federation, is because they didn't really want to listen to what he was telling them that they should do to Italian football. And that's why Italian football has dropped off to where it is right now. So what I'm telling you is, we can't really sit here and say that the fact that the academy is still using the 4-2-3-1 or any iteration of the 4 at the back is a correlation to the fact that you're going to change to a 4-3-3, because academy level football is different. You're learning the game. And if this will add to anything, when it comes to the academy, kids will play across the pitch, different positions.
Nelson, did you
A
say
centre
the
back will
Inter?
play
Did you say
midfield.
Inter, Juve, and all these guys? Whoever plays a back three, their
Inter-
academy
Inter-
also plays a back
I
three.
know Inter does right now, and what's his name?
Okay.
And I think Napoli did with
So
Conte.
Nelson, I'm on the Inter Milan Academy website, and here's
Yeah.
verbatim. While the
Okay.
senior Inter Milan team predominantly uses a three at the back system, the philosophy for the Inter Academy focus on overall player development and core fundamentals rather than enforcing a specific formation at all levels. The
Okay.
Inter Academy's primary goal is to transmit the club's know-how and values, developing well-rounded players and excellent citizens, rather than specializing them in a single tactical setup from a young age. So if I'm
So,
to listen to these guys, they are
but what
more
formation
concerned
did
with
you
their
play?
players going to
Look,
vote at the election
I
than
don't want to
learning
hear.
how to play the
I
back
don't want to
three.
hear. I don't want to hear commitments. Show me the formation that the under 21s play or the under
No,
18s.
but Nelson, come on. Like if we're
Here's
seeing
my
it from
point.
the
Here's
Inter
my-
Academy website,
Here's my point. Here's my point, by the way, guys. And this is why we're all kind of jumping. I believe the 3-4-2-1 can work. But I agree with what Amrim said. You would need a lot of money and a lot of time to implement it. And that's where
That's
he
what I
knows.
said.
Nelson
And
to
that's
stop
what-
you. Nelson to
So,
stop you.
Nelson, hold on.
Yes,
Here's my interpretation, because I knew this was going to happen at some point. I was actually thinking of having a show where only you and I are talking to each other about this, because this is eventually Amram has come out, and this can be interpreted in two ways, in my opinion. Okay, what he said in the press conference was it was going to need. What did he say? He said it's going to need time and money that we don't have. Right. I think he had a lot more emphasis on the time than the money portion, because I'll tell you what, like I was saying to AUN earlier, AUN thinks if we buy three world-class players in a 4-2-3-1, we can win the league, but we need 7 world-class players to win the league with a 3-4-3. And I categorically disagree with that, because I think our squad's in a position where 3 world-class players doesn't win us the league in any formation, whether whether we play 1-1-8. We're not going to win the league with
Liverpool
a 1-1-8
won with just
formation.
3. Liverpool only won with 3.
Bro,
How can,
come
how
on.
can Liverpool
Hold
win?
on.
No, you're lying.
Hold on.
What are we talking about?
No,
It's
no.
What
Van
what
Dijk,
3
Alisson,
players?
and
Listen,
Mohamed Salah.
Trent came through their academy. That's not something we can control to just produce a
Okay.
world-class player in the academy, right?
Okay.
Robertson is a world-class left back, and he
No,
was
he
in
isn't.
his prime,
He
right?
isn't.
He wasn't valued
last-
as a world-class left back when
last
he
season?
came in. No, not last season. I'm saying like how Liverpool started winning. Why are we looking at last season?
Because
Liverpool
I'm
already
talking
had
about. I'm saying you can win the league with 3 world-class players.
Bro, Liverpool
In
already
one-
had a period of success of 7 years under Klopp before they purchased those players or whatever to go win the league.
And
Let's not talk
they didn't
about
buy
last
anyone significant last season, so it
It's
was all
three.
those same players.
It
That's
was
my
3
point.
years. The 4th year club won, and
So,
they
okay.
won the Champions League
And,
final.
and
with
how many
3.
years has Amorim had?
No, but that's one. Like, we're not disagreeing with you on that. We're saying in terms of
No, we're not
players.
saying how long it would take.
We
No,
said
no, no.
players.
Okay, let me land with my point, right? Let me land with my point. Would you agree that whether you develop the world-class players through your academy or they come through your academy, or you end up purchasing a player for 15 million from Hull that ends up becoming a very good Premier League quality left back, is out of Amorim's control, right? To a certain extent. Like if Orozco develops and becomes one of the best midfielders in the league, that's not really something that Amorim has control over, right? So my point, you guys are saying we need to purchase 3 world-class players to get the 4-2-3-1 to work, or the 3 players come through the academy. I don't care about that. I'm just talking about the money that we need to spend, assuming that we can't control where the players are coming from. Now, Liverpool under Klopp doesn't even compete with City, let alone win the league that he won, if he doesn't have players like Mane at the peak of his powers, if he doesn't have Salah at the peak of his powers, if he
I'm
doesn't have
talking
Roberto
about-
Firmino
I'm only
being
talking
a
about
great
last
player.
season. If you look at last season, they won with only 3 world-class players.
No. Nelson.
My-
Nelson.
Bro.
Yeah.
Nelson. Let's count the world-class players you're talking. Let's start from the goalkeeper. Alisson was world-class last year, right?
And he was injured for a large part of last year. Let's remember that, yeah.
No. Answer. He was world-class last year.
He's world-class, yeah. Alisson is, yeah.
Van
Van
Dijk
Dijk.
was.
Yeah.
Trent was.
No,
I don't consider Trent world-class.
no.
Hakim
Bro,
is better than him.
his chance
No,
He has
creation.
the most assists from.
Everybody
He has the
was
most
complaining.
assists by a
The whole-
defender.
they're all
Okay,
the
fine.
fans
Okay,
were
fine.
complaining about
Fine.
Trent.
Let's talk
Okay.
chat. Let me land. Let us not count Trent. So you already have 2, right?
Yeah.
and Salah.
Soboslai
then
was
Salah.
world class last year.
That's it.
And
Soboslai
Salah.
was Soboslai was
No.
world class last
No,
year.
no,
Let's
no.
be honest.
How can you switch from being
Gravenberch, bro.
listen,
Gravenberch.
they
Gravenberch
were-
was world
Gravenberch
class
was
last year.
world-class
You know,
last
they
year.
were
Gravenberch
trying.
was he was
Luis
in the
Diaz.
Premier League for the
Gravenberch
season.
was
They were
literally
shopping.
Ballon
They
d'Or
were shopping
nominated.
Szoboszlai out at the beginning of this season. They were shopping him out because of how much they didn't like him last season.
Who?
Szoboszlai.
Yeah, Szoboszlai.
No, okay. No, I'm not saying Szoboszlai. Here, hold on. Gravenberch, McAllister both got into the Premier League team of the season.
Yeah, but they're not
we've agreed
world-class,
with this.
though.
Hold on. We've agreed about this. Okay,
They're
maybe
good
we have
players.
different. Listen, we've talked about this before several times, and I recall both of you agreeing on this, which is if you want to win a Premier League, you need to have 3 or 4 of the best players in the Premier League playing in your team.
Correct.
If a player gets into the Premier League team of the season, that qualifies them as one of the best players in the Premier League. Right? We're
to
not
be fair,
talking about
I'll
winning
give
the
you-
Champions League.
I'll give
We're
you
not
this,
talking about any other league.
I'm not going to disagree about Gravenberch. Gravenberch played extremely well last season, extremely well. But
Yeah.
he's not a world-class player. If you look at majority of their games, who are the people who won them? It was Salah, and I'll actually give you some. Robert had put Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz played well for them last season, but that's what you
But
get.
he
with
also
good
wasn't
players.
world class, right? So
Yeah, he
Nelson,
wasn't world-class. So.
okay, hear me out. Let's say we get 3. How many world class players do we have in our squad right now?
I think only one. And
Bruno,
it's
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say we add 2 more world class players to make
No,
that
3.
same 3. No. Let's say
said
we add
2.
2.
I
Let's
said
just go with the same
Yeah.
Liverpool argument from last year. We add 2 world class players, and then you give me whatever tier you consider Trent, whatever tier you consider Luis Diaz, whatever tier you consider McAllister and Gravenberch, who had excellent seasons. You give me 4 players like that on top of the 2 additional world class players, and then we're talking. Right? Because I don't think I think you would agree that Mbumo and Cunha are not world class yet,
No, they're not.
right?
No.
So maybe
And-
they
and
fall into
just
that
before
tier
this argument,
of those 4 guys that I mentioned. And then you're looking at adding 2 other players that are of that tier and 2 other world class players. Now, if those 4 players are 2 world class midfielders and let's say 1 wing back and 1 center back, I think we have the team that you're talking about that can go compete for the league.
I think if you bring in 2
Okay, and-
extremely good DMs, I hear Robert's been trying to say something. I'll let Robert say something. Sorry,
Okay.
Robert.
You know why I'm colliding with Nelson is because you're not even taking into account that Liverpool, Szoboszlai was typically Liverpool's Dennis Rodman. Like, dude,
Yeah.
how you dare slander Szoboszlai? And Szoboszlai was the Dennis Rodman of that Liverpool team. You take Dennis Rodman out of that Chicago Bulls team that had Jordan, is it Pippen, and what is this guy? Lonely or something? Dude, there's no team there. There's no team. So that's why I'm telling you, Szoboszlai was world class. So let's just stop this. You're not talking about Liverpool again. I'm tired of talking of Liverpool and how they had world class players. But our team doesn't even have a Dennis Rodman to begin with. That's what even I'm trying to say.
Also, Robert, if I may, right? The reason why it's a false comparison to look at Liverpool last year is because they didn't go through 12 years of being shit like we have before they had those 3 world-class players to come win the league. Like we're in a very different position. So if you just add those 3 players, they had an established way of playing that Slot did very little changes to compared to where Klopp was playing. And they already had players with the good confidence playing in their prime, world-class players already playing there for so many years that then went and won the league. And we all agree last season, the competition for the league was also not really there, right? In terms of who was really competing Liverpool all the way to the end. It
They
was
had that
supposed to
title
be
sewn
Arsenal.
up by
It was
February.
supposed to be Arsenal, but Arsenal tailed off a long time ago, and City had a shit season, tailed off after four years of winning the league, right? So,
Guys, I think
we
you're
wanna
losing.
say-
You're missing our point here. We're not saying that if we bring in 3 world-class players tomorrow, we're now winning the league. That's not
Aouan
what we're
said that though. That's what
saying.
Aouan was saying.
No. We're saying you need 3 world-class players to win a league. Yes, you'll still need good players around them, but you'll need 3 world-class players. The way we look at it, I think all of us agree. Our central midfield needs to be revamped. I think I still think Cunha's position, the left winger, left attacking
Left hand,
midfielder,
yeah.
that part might need to be improved on. And for sure, striker. And one of our centre backs needs to be world class. Because I've never seen this league be won without a world class centre back. So if you put a world-class centre back there, you can have a decent right back, decent left back.
Leicester.
Yeah, you can do a Leicester. There's this. Leicester's the best example of this. Where
so the core of the team is always goalkeeper, defensive midfielder, a striker. The wingers can come in and go. If we think Sesko is going to be what he's going to be, I personally don't think he's the greatest, but he was bought for a reason. So you need a winger. Let's say if we switch into a 4-2-3-1, you need a world-class winger on the opposite side of Bremo. And then you need a defensive midfielder that can play in there, and you can put Kobe Manu next to him and Bruno Fernandes ahead of them.
To be honest,
Bruno Fernandes is a world-class player.
Sorry, you said Kobe? You said Kobe? Or
you can play Kobe there. You don't need
Kobe's in trouble no winning a league. I'm sorry.
No,
I don't think
here's
so.
what I'm saying. Kobe Manu next to a world-class defensive midfielder, he works. So
Andy, I'm gonna use this opportunity to pivot to something I think is more interesting than talking about Liverpool's title win. I'm gonna ask you, and I'm gonna ask the entire panel, for you, Andy, which is, we, irrespective of the formation and the system we play, we all agree we need at least two really good midfielders, right? We need one top class centre back, we need a winger, we need probably a rotational striker, and then you could go into whether we need a second centre back or we need a third midfielder or whatever it is. So Andy, I want to ask you, say realistically we qualify for the Champions League, we spent 220 million without the Champions League. With the Champions League, bump it up to 300 million, supplemented with outgoings and everything. I don't think we are spending more than 300 million pounds in the summer. Okay, forget about this January also, because I have a strong feeling we might not buy anyone, but that's another conversation. A Manu Kone is not going to cut it. Absolutely not. Right? No, so I don't even want to spend another breath on that guy. I want to ask you, who are these two midfielders? Because if you're spending 300 million on the entire squad on 5 or 6 positions, you cannot spend 200 million on midfielders, because let's be realistic. If you get a Anderson and a Wharton, they're both going to cost you somewhere close to 100 million. There's a lot of teams out for midfielders. They're going to cost you somewhere in the range of 180 to 200 million. We cannot spend that much on one position. So if we are to spend 150 million, who are those two midfielders you want to get? And also, I want to introduce some new names to this rotation, because this Baleba, Anderson, Wharton, Baleba, Anderson, Wharton, I'm fed up of hearing those names. I want to hear some realistic top class names that we can bring in, not just from the Premier League, but like from other leagues as well. Like I know Lamine Kamara is one name we floated around a lot, who I genuinely think is in that Baleba bracket. But what are the other names? Who do you think these players are? Let's move it to a more optimistic
direction. So can I I think my answer to this question depends on what Nelson said, because he does make an interesting point about the 3 world-class players. And where I disagree, at least with AUN, I'm not 100% sure where Nelson stands on this, is that us getting fewer players makes us compete for the league with a 4-2-3-1, but it's going to take more players for a 3-4-3. I think the same number of players actually enables us to do better with the 3-4-3 than it does with the 4-2-3-1, because of the reasons I've already said. So I don't want to open that discussion again, but I will say, if we're saying that Bruno's going to be world-class, and I think it's fair to say he will be world-class next season as well if we play him in the 10. Would anybody disagree with that? In the 3-4-3, if Bruno plays the 10, I think he's still world-class, right? Maybe even for 2 seasons after this, if he doesn't have the amount of legs that he needs to cover or amount of ground he needs to cover as the 8. If we go sign a world-class central midfielder like Elliot Anderson, which might cost us 100, and we go get a McAllister or a Gravenberch type of signing, which, to be fair, Liverpool paid 35 for McAllister and 40 for Gravenberch, if I'm not wrong. And they both turned out to be significantly better than what they thought they were going to be. So if we get one player like that who comes in, we don't have much expectations, but comes good, right? Because, listen, things have to go well for us to go win a league. Like, Klopp doesn't win the league if he doesn't have Trent becoming one of the best right backs in the world, and et cetera, et cetera. Then I think we actually need a starting right wing back, not a left wing back, because I think Ahmad needs to go into the position and compete with Brian Mbeumo for the right 10. I think Cunha probably plays a split between the left 10 and the striker position with Bruno and Sheshko, right? And then we go get a world-class center back. So in my opinion, just getting another world-class central midfielder and a world-class center back, whether that's a center back, probably a center back, those two world-class players can get us to challenging for the league, because I think we have enough
What are those
around
names
that.
for you?
Yeah. So for me, Anderson looks like a really good shout for the central midfield role, right? Because he is Premier League proven. And to some point, you just have to say he's shown us enough in the league to say that he can be a fit for that position. Other than that, I think next to him, we should go get somebody like a Lamine Camara. And I think we can also spread it around, because we just talked about the world class or the second best players, but I think we need three midfielders. And in my opinion, those three midfielders are Elliot Anderson, who's your Prem proven top level player. The second player I would go for is Lamine Camara. And the third player I would go for is Ederson, because Ederson, guys, is 6'1". Okay, the heading, aerial ability, goal scoring ability that we get from Casemiro, that can be replaced in the aggregate by someone like Ederson. And the defensive abilities we get from Casemiro can be replaced in the aggregate by Kamara, because he's excellent defensively, eats up the ground. So those are the three midfielders that I would be looking at. Now, in my opinion, how much would those three midfielders cost? If I am being honest and realistic in terms of what Ineos wants to play, that's probably a 170, 180 type of layout that we need to do for those three players.
Probably more than that, dude, because
Sure.
Anderson,
fair enough.
Yeah. So let me ask you the second follow-up now, because see, I'm what if I tell you that Anderson goes to City and Wharton goes to Bayern? These two players are out of the question. Now, who do you go for?
Yeah, so it would have to be we'd have to go outside the league. I mentioned this in the Semenyo video, because I think with Anderson, it's not just a matter of what will Nottingham Forest accept. It's also a matter of what wage will he demand. And I think with the season he's having, with consistently performing the numbers, and with City, to be fair, looking like they're willing to break wage structure, break a bunch of things just because they're worried about what a post-Pep world looks like, I think they're going to give stupid money to Anderson and just say, come join us. And Bayern could do the same thing. Bayern were playing Goretzka 250 and Kimmich, God knows how much. Their midfield is dying. So I think Bayern are also in for Anderson. And we just immediately disqualify ourselves if those teams are in the battle.
Kimmich
So I think
signed for 4 more years.
No, but he's one. He plays right back. He plays center midfield. Like they still need an heir for the midfield that can be the next Kimmich, right? And Anderson at his age can go play for Bayern for 10 years.
Bayern don't have money.
Fair enough, but I put out one name out there. I'm sure there's other clubs that might be in for a midfielder in the summer.
Exactly. That's why you have to go for Anderson now. You go world class now. 100
Fair
million
enough.
if you have to. You have to pull the trigger. Plain and
I
simple.
agree with that. I
think Nelson has another alternative name that he might suggest, like in that really top class bracket along with Anderson and Wharton.
Are you going to
Is
say
there
Kevin
anyone you
Durant?
have in mind, Nelson?
Honestly, for me, it's Edison. If we're not getting Anderson or Wharton, the only two I'm taking is Edison and Kamara, and because those are the only other two that are genuinely of that level. That the level below that it's not going to be guessing again.
Let's hear from Darshan as well, because he's been waiting for a while. Darshan, how you doing, man?
Hey, hi, good afternoon and good evening, everyone. And nice to finally talk to you, Nelson, as well. This question, which was asked by Rishi, I think it's a lot of theory crafting. I don't have any particular names on top of my mind. But what we need to consider is I have pointed this out like in the Discord as well. Like, suppose if we go for Anderson, right? It's like we should not be in a place like it might go the same route like how what happened with Semenyo, right? Like we can't break our wage structure. We can't go beyond a certain limit of what we value a player. That's what happened with Baleba as well in the last summer. So I believe this guy might be already out of picture for us. So whatever names we want to go for, it will be like someone like Wharton, Baleba. I have not seen any links for Ederson or Kamara, so I can't comment how much we'll be after them, because we know them, that we have Andy has scouted them, and Nelson has scouted Kamara, I guess. So we know that they are a good potential target, but the club needs to see it in the same way as well. So that is one concern I have, because what picture we get is if we have any rumors, right, coming from Ornstein or someone, then we understand, okay, this is the picture they are going for. But I see just these three names, Baleba, Anderson,
Yeah.
and Wharton. So I
Darshan.
believe, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
If I may, I think what I'm really worried about, because we had this Ineos conversation the other day about, like, do we believe them? Do we have faith in them? Here's my number one worry about them. The way they've been moving in the market, with all the youth players they've been signing, I think they have been ahead of the curve in this. We can't pay the wages other clubs can pay, long before we have arrived at this conclusion, right? Even before the Semenyo saga ended, I think they were concerned about this very thing. And that's why they're trying to sign the likes of Buadi at 18 years old. That's why they're trying to go get Orozco, 8 in heaven for 2 million, right? I think that's the type of market they're trying to play in, to say, even if we can try to get a title charge in 2 years, it may not be sustainable in the long term to break our wage structure and try to get some of these players in. So that is my biggest concern. What Ed said right there, go pay the 100 million to Elliot Anderson. I think there's actually a 0% chance of that happening right now.
Yeah, I don't
But
believe
it
that.
needs to happen.
Okay,
But
here's
there's
what
also
I think
another
will
name.
happen.
That's
There's
fair.
also another name I think they need to look at. His name is Pablo Barrios. He plays for Atleti.
Atleti, yeah.
That kid
That kid
is
is
Listen to me.
incredible.
That kid
You guys
was
But
stop
did,
looking
did they
outside
just
the
sign him
Premier
this
League.
season?
Yeah, they
They
did.
just signed
I
him this
know.
season,
I'm
I
just
think.
saying, is
Yeah.
somebody
Guys,
like that, man. We
you guys need to
gotta
listen to
do
me.
something.
We should stop looking outside of the Premier League, because who have they been willing to pay them the money for in their transfer business lately? Had been
Prem
Premier
proven
League proven
players.
players. Premier League proven players. So I don't think they're going to spend that much money outside the Premier League proven, because when they bought the Cunha and Bremo, instant success. Our attack has improved. So they're going to be
So
thinking the
fair
same
enough, AUN.
mindful.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I agree with what you're saying. Now, other than Anderson and Wharton, give me one name at least who is prem proven, who is in that top class category, who we can go and sign in the summer or in January.
Anton Stach.
The thing is, that's the thing though. We don't have any other one beside those three names, because they play for big team. Like
I agree
Rice
with
already
Stash,
played
though.
for
I agree with Stash.
Arsenal.
I think
Yeah.
Stash is a good shout, but again, the situation is Leeds are probably going to stay up, which means we have to pay over the top to get him, and that's
it's
my
Leeds
concern.
too. The Leeds wouldn't let
Guys.
Yeah.
let a player go to us easily. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, guys,
As
Robert,
in-
I'm sorry to stop you there. I have to institute some discipline with the timings, because now I'm gonna do 3 live shows a day, guys. So this is the announcement. This show right here, I'm also gonna go live at 5 p.m. Eastern time, so like about an hour and a half from now. That one's not going to be a call-in show. It's actually just going to be me doing some analysis, just a half an hour show. Actually, the 5 p.m. show today is going to be a Wolves preview. So please do join that. It's about an hour and a half. And we are also going to be live at 10 p.m. Eastern time, which is not going to be ideal for the UK viewers, but it is meant to be more for the folks watching in India, the folks that are this is too late for them. So here's hoping that 10 p.m. show fixes Rishi's sleep schedule and he doesn't join this one, but he starts joining that one instead. And AUN, where are you located? Did you say Texas?
Nashville, Tennessee. No,
Nashville.
Tennessee.
Okay, yeah. Is that Central Time or what time zone is that?
Yeah, we're in Central Time.
Yeah, Central Time. So you can join the 10 p.m. one as well, and even Nelson as well if you're done with
You say
dinner.
10 p.m. or 10
Yeah,
a.m.?
that works
10
for
p.m.
me as
10
well.
p.m. Eastern Time.
Oh, okay.
10 p.m. Eastern Time. So what the schedule going forward is 2 p.m. Eastern or 7 p.m. UK, then 5 p.m. Eastern or 10 p.m. UK, which is the analysis type of show for half an hour. And then I'm going to have a 10 p.m. show, which is going to be for an hour long, and we're going to get straight into Collins. So there's no agenda, no explanation at the beginning there. But guys, there's a lot of bumper content coming for you guys. I'm putting in the effort because this is important to me. We're building a great community. We have 140 people, I think, still watching. So I think that's validation for this time slot being a little bit better for everyone to enjoy as well. So thank you guys for all your time, man. I think great discussion today, AUN and Nelson specifically, since you guys were the contrarians today, which Nelson's used to at this point.
Can
Yeah,
I give my names, please?
yeah, Robert too. Robert for coming up whenever Nelson comes up and trying to really get it into the Kenyan brethren. Okay, guys, we'll see you again in almost an hour and a half. Okay, we'll be live doing the preview for the Wolves game, and other than that, we'll see you guys at 10 p.m. Whoever wants to join the call-in show as well. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.
Somebody.
I won't be joining. It's too late for me.